The City of Ohio State podcast takes a deep dive into the support services that keep OSU's Columbus campus running 24/7. Hear from industry experts in facilities, construction, real estate, public safety, transportation, and more. The City of Ohio State podcast is brought to you by the Office of Administration and Planning. Go Bucks! Hello and welcome to the City of Ohio State podcast. I'm your host, Dan Hedman. Our guest this month is Kristin Poldemann, the Associate Vice President of Facilities Design and Construction here at Ohio State. Kristin, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me back.
Of course. You're no stranger to our show, as we try to have you on about 2 times a year to get the latest and greatest updates about campus construction. We're fresh off a Board of Trustees meeting. A new round of projects has taken the next step. A large group of deferred maintenance projects was recently approved. Can you just give us an example of a few of those and why ultimately they are just as important as some of our more high-profile construction projects?
Yeah, as you know, we take several projects each time our Board of Trustees meets. We take several projects for them to approve advancement of. And for the November board meeting, we took total 5 projects that were that had the deferred maintenance group of projects. So just to summarize, so you can get kind of a flavor of what the deferred maintenance projects are. There's electrical renovations, building envelope renewal, which is sort of like stonework, joints, mortar, waterproofing, that type of thing. Elevator renovations for equipment, safety upgrades, HVAC control systems, and then roof renewals, which is really replacement of roofs that have reached the end of their service life. So total out of all of those 5, $34.6 million worth of deferred maintenance, which is great. It's really important, these projects, that they get advanced because, as you know, if we don't maintain, if we don't update or replace, this can cause and lead to other deterioration and issues. So there's a priority list that we're working off of, and we'll be working on the highest priority. And then as the dollars, can stretch, we'll be working down through that list.
And I know deferred maintenance is very important to Mark Consollier and to the newly hired Chris Kaborik. So definitely will be a focus for FDC and A&P as a whole, I guess, moving forward. The Inpatient Hospital tends to get a lot of attention, and for good reason, as it's the largest single project in the university's history. Scheduled to open early in 2026, it's a 1.9 million square foot building. I understand it just crossed over the 85% complete milestone. Is that correct? And what's next to bring the building closer to completion?
Yeah, so not to correct you, but it's actually 89% today. So breaking news, 89%.
Oh, there we go. I love it.
Yeah. But October was a big month for us. So we achieved certificate of occupancy and substantial completion for the lower level ground floor, level 1. That happened about a few weeks ago. So that allows us to begin the fit-up activities, which includes installation of equipment, technology, furniture, signage, that type of thing to get prepared for opening day. Now we're very close to milestone 2. And just to remind everybody, milestone 2 includes levels 2, 4, 7, 8, and 10. So that brings the other major public floors to completion, operating suite, major 3-story mechanical room, that type of thing. Also, what will be exciting about the delivery of the second milestone is we'll be completed with our first inpatient hospital floor. And then I wanted to tell you a little bit about some of the big activities that we're currently working on. So we've got, if you can imagine, like the upper floors of that hospital, we still have active construction work happening. We've got terrazzo going in on level 5. We've got millwork that's occurring on several upper floors. We've got tests and inspections all over the place. Something that might be more visible to our listeners might be the forecourt work. So that forecourt has some new steel for the canopy, paving sidewalks, curbs, that type of thing. But I do want to take a second to thank our inspectors, our friends at Department of Industrial Compliance, the State Fire Marshal's Office. They have been fabulous. They've been spending a lot of time with our team down there, and this is a lot of work to go through and inspect. So they've been fabulous.
Yeah, what a massive project and a really great accomplishment when that will be complete. I guess 89%, I'm just picturing in my head that status bar when you download something on your computer, and that bar is almost all the way over. So a little bit more to go, but the team, I'm sure, is focused on completing that and getting it done the right way. So,
Yeah.
sticking with the medical center, outpatient care Powell is moving along, and I know prefab panels could begin installation as early as December on the medical office building. It's a $183 million project that includes 200,000 square feet in the form of a 5-story medical office building and a 2-story ambulatory health center. How has this project been going up north in Powell?
Yeah, this is all of them are fun, but this has been really fun because we have been able to take the lessons learned from outpatient care New Albany, outpatient care Dublin, and we've applied them here at Powell. And so think of like prefabrication more so. We've been taking different lessons learned from structural lessons. How could we fabricate some things a little bit easier so it's easier for the contractors in the field, that type of thing. So it's really afforded us an opportunity to move that much quicker. So the prefabricated panels, they'll be completed here in December on the medical office building. So that's the 5-story structure. In February for the ambulatory health center, that's the 2-story portion. There's stone and brick that'll start getting laid up on the building in the next several months. That all is in preparation for windows to go in. Our curtain wall. So if you can imagine or go on our website and take a look at the rendering, that large expanse of glass that's on the corner of the medical office building, the 5-story structure, that's all the curtain wall. So that starts to go in March of 25. But all in all, the whole building will be kind of dried in. So what we mean by that is, no water will be, no openings, so water can't go in May of 25. And as you can imagine, a lot of work on the inside, a lot of rough-in work all over the inside. And this will be one of our first projects where we'll be using a substantial amount of demountable walls, so sort of prefabricated wall systems inside. So a lot of really exciting stuff that's happening out there in Powell.
Maybe obvious to some, but not to others. So, just since you and I have both used that prefab term, can you just
Mhm.
explain briefly, what prefabrication is and why that's helpful to your team?
Yeah, so you think of it this way, where contractors or the subcontractors that we're working with, they can actually take a covered area or a warehouse and actually fabricate panels for a wall. They could do runs of HVAC electrical system racks. So all that stuff you see in the ceiling, conduits, HVAC, things like that where wiring lays into it, all that stuff can be done basically on a tabletop or on a work surface. So you don't have workers up in the ceiling, on ladders, on lifts, that type of thing. They can fabricate it in a controlled environment. So that's prefabrication. Think through it. And then bring it out to the site in pieces and in large components, and then just put it and install it on the building. So it's a great opportunity for it to be controlled from the beginning all the way to the end, and then installed really nicely and neatly on site. And then, think of it also here in Ohio, we have a lot of different weather. We have seasons. So it helps them when we get into the colder months and potentially ice and, rain and snow and that type of thing. They can just have this prefabricated, essentially done, and put it onto the building or drop it in.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I think a good explanation for anyone who might not have heard that term before. So, back on the Columbus campus and west of Kenny Road, the Waterman Multispecies Animal Learning Center, or MALC, broke ground in January and will now begin to go vertical following foundation work. The project constructs a 100,000 square foot facility that will consist of an interconnected series of barns housing different species like swine, equine, poultry, and others. What updates can you share on this project?
Yeah, so the foundations for that main arena, so picture the Malk building is there's a main arena, and then there's barns that kind of are off of this main arena. That main arena, all of the foundations are nearing completion. We actually have structural steel that just started arriving on site. So we'll begin to see that structure go vertical here in the next couple of months. If you remember, I think we talked maybe last time in our podcast about the dairy barn. The dairy barn was added to this project. So that work is going to just get started. It's moving a little bit behind, not late, but it's just the timeline is behind what we're doing on the main structure. But just to remind everybody, the dairy barn is going to be completed, substantially complete, October of 25, and the main Malk project is completed November of 25. And then I wanted to just connect the dots on, we have an infrastructure project that is not tucked in under this project, but related. It's actually a separate project, but related to resurfacing and expanding Carmack Road between Lane and Kenny, and will also create multi-use path to get the connectivity and access to Waterman where it needs to be.
Yeah, that's great, and that's actually close to where our office is over here. So we're keeping tabs on that one from a close distance. The Biomedical and Materials Engineering Complex Phase 2 will be the home of first-year engineering courses, makerspace, biomedical and advanced materials R&D, and engaging K through 12 STEM programs. It's a $90 million project that's set to open in December of 25. If I look at my calendar, that means it's just about a year away, which is hard to believe. What work is taking place over there right now?
Yeah, so a year is not too far. It goes quick, and we're excited about this project. This project, if you walk by that site, it is carefully choreographed. That is a tight site there on the corner of Woodruff and College. We are actually almost completed with the concrete for the new addition. So the new addition is the closest to Woodruff and College. So that's close to being completed for concrete. The connector, so there are two main engineering buildings that are existing, McQuigg, Fontana. So right now, really what's happening on site is the contractors are working on the connector links to McQuigg and Fontana to the new addition. Of course, a lot of work going on inside of that building, both in the existing renovation portion and the new addition. There's wall framing that's ongoing throughout, rough-in work for our mechanical, electric, plumbing. We do have a very large HVAC unit that's coming over winter break, so we're timing that with winter break because there's some road shutdowns that has to occur. So we want to try to do that during a downtime on campus. And because of the activity on that site, not a lot of room to stage, things that are coming in, deliveries, things like that.
Very cool. And did I save the best for last? I think Tom Eckergren on your team would probably say yes, because he loves
Yeah.
roads and he loves sidewalks. We know that about Tom. So that's an inside joke for our FDC folks. But a project years in the making is now open, with Cannon Drive Phase 2 having reopened the roadway in mid-November. The project, through phases 1 and 2, straightened and elevated Cannon Drive between King and Woody Hayes and created a certified flood levee with up to 500 years of flood protection. It's really an engineering marvel that this was able to take place. A bit of an under the radar project to those wondering why the roadway or the bike path were closed for so long. But how proud are you of this project that's going to be a finished product soon here, and what it means for Ohio State?
Yeah, well, I want to thank you for saying Tom's name because he's really at the top of my mind when you think about this project. You think about Tom, and he's been with this project from the very beginning. So big shout out to Tom. He's been doing a fantastic job on this project, and as you know, many others. But yeah, it is. He loves to talk about the roadways. He makes civil engineering cool. I'm an architect, and he's been making civil engineering cool for me. So we gotta laugh about that. But also Aaron Sutherland, who joined us not too long ago here in FDC, he's been helping Tom the last couple of months. Those two together have been doing a great job. So big shout out to them. But as you know, parking, you may have noticed parking has opened and has been open for a little while. The full length of Cannon is scheduled to open to public traffic Friday, November 15th. So that's been great. I know this morning when I came into work, they were working on the signals and making sure things were working okay. And then I also wanted to mention that Tom and Aaron have both done a fabulous job of developing relationships with Army Corps of Engineer, FEMA, ODNR, OEPA, and the EPA and City of Columbus. So they've been working so closely with all of those organizations and really as a team effort, and excited to see it open.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, I mean, it's legitimately a certified flood levy, right? So the
Yeah,
university and parts of the university, especially, the medical center, it needs this flood levy with us being next to a river for protection for years to come, right?
exactly.
That's great. So, okay, thanks for being with us, Kristin. To learn more about these and other projects, our listeners can go to buildingthefuture.osu.edu. Kristin, we appreciate your time and the work of your team to build the future of Ohio State.
Great. Thanks for having me on.
The City of Ohio State podcast is brought to you by the Office of Administration and Planning. Until next time, be kind and go Bucks.